Hello, and welcome to Diversity TV. This is Judd Dudley, and I'm here with Bill Adsit, who I met at the Mayor's Prayer Breakfast here a little over a week ago, I guess that is now. And we're fortunate to have him here with us in studio. And I just was really impressed with the speech that you gave and what you shared there. And so I wanted our audience, especially those who weren't able to be there, to have the same opportunity to hear you and benefit from what you shared and for the wisdom that I heard there. So tell us about yourself briefly. You know, what I know you can't tell everything that you shared there, but to give a bit of background who you are and where you come from.
Okay. I was born in Telegraph Creek as Belfry Charlie Adsit, and I was a member of the Teltan Band. Both my parents were they were both alcoholics, and my father was extremely violent, and there was a lot of problems in the family, and they divorced when I was about 5 years old, and my mother took my two sisters and moved to Wrangell, Alaska. And I didn't see her for 23 years, and my dad took my brother and I to Whitehorse and dropped us off to the residential school. And I didn't see him again for more than a couple of times in the next 10 years. The school shut down when I was 15. I ended up on the streets of Whitehorse for a day, and at the time I had to deal with many things that happened in my life. Like I just mentioned, you know, I had to deal with the effects of alcoholism, the effects of violence, the effects of a divorce, the effects of abandonment, the effects of sexual and mental and physical abuse at the residential school. So when I got out of the place at 15, you can imagine I was completely lost and emotionally empty, and I really did not know what to do. But I didn't realize at the time that I did have a caretaker and a protector that was looking out for me. I find out later in life that the Bible says that God says, I will be a father to the fatherless. So I was on, like I mentioned, I was only on the streets for a day, and I got picked up by the RCMP, and they took me to court and made me a ward of the government, put me into a foster home, and also gave me a job to keep me off the streets. So amazingly, 2 days out of the residential school, I had a home and a job and a place to live, and food, shelter, and clothing. And after that, life went on. Ended up in Rimbey, Alberta, going to high school. Ended up in the military. Ended up in Transferred Canada. Went to university, did my Bachelor of Commerce. Worked for Revenue Canada, Industry Canada, and when I retired, after 37 years with the federal government, I took on the job as president of the Teltan Nation Development Corporation, which is part of my nation. And again, that was a real challenge. The company was technically in bankruptcy, and I took it from about $13 million in debt to full employment. The most we had, I think, during my tenure there was 503 employees. We established about 25 joint venture companies, and the income went from about $6 million to $100 million. So during my tenure there, things were very good. I probably hit it right because the economy at the time was really booming. So overall, when I look back on life now, I think to myself, was it true what God said about I will be a father to fatherless? When I look back now and I see that I've had food, shelter, clothing. It gave me a beautiful wife and a family. And that lonely young kid that was out of the residential school now was surrounded with a lot of friends. And I always say in my life that I am only here because of the goodness of all of the people that have come across in life that's been a help to me. And I am very, very grateful and humbled by all of that. Thanks.
Yeah, that's the abbreviated version, but covers it all, I think, pretty close. Of the experiences, because you covered a lot of ground there, in those years of all the different things you did, any one or two experiences that just stands out as something that you say that would relay the sort of the difference, the change in your life?
Well, the big change in my life really happened when I was working for Transport Canada, and I got followed home by the RCMP one day and saying because of my lifestyle that there was a warrant out for my arrest. I ended up in the jail here in Edmonton for the weekend, and it's at that time that I really had the opportunity to sit and think about my actions and the ramifications of what I was doing and how it was going to affect my family and my job and my whole reputation. And it was at that point that I finally realized that, hey, something's wrong with your life and the way you're living. It's time for you to change. And I find it amazing that I would even think like that, because I had mentioned during the residential school there was sexual abuse, and I really did not have any use for Christianity, but just the fact that I thought about it and decided to, well, hey, let's try it and see if it works. And it has worked in my life.
So I was going to ask you about the $13 million change, but you've covered that already because I was really impressed with that. I understand you're doing something else like that now, another situation. Can you speak either to the new situation or sort of what you did that made such a significant change other than just the economy was good? Because I know that wasn't all of it.
Okay, I can tell you about the $13 million. When I first started with the Tahltan Nation Development Corporation, because I have a Bachelor of Commerce degree and I major in accounting, worked for Revenue Canada, worked for Industry Canada, and knew about the bankruptcy laws. When I looked at the financial statements on my first day on the job there, I knew this company was in serious trouble. So I had talked to all the staff and mentioned to them that this company is technically in bankruptcy, and maybe we should just shut it down and start all over again. Most of the staff there, everybody was opposed to that idea, so I said, okay, I'll take it on. So what I did was I phoned all of the creditors and said to them that TNDC is in the process of going into bankruptcy, and that if we do go into bankruptcy, they'd be lucky to get 10 cents on the dollar. But I said, if you work with me, I guarantee you 50 cents on the dollar. And everybody agreed, so obviously right out the math went from 13 to 6.5 million. And then we had a bunch of equipment lying around BC that the previous chief operations officer had purchased, but they were never really, they didn't get a contract. So I picked up the 6 brand new Hitachi backhoes, sent them back to Wajax in Prince George. And before I sent them back, I phoned them and I said, TNDC, I have an offer for you. Here's 2 offers. We're going to stop payment on the equipment, and you can come and pick it up. The second offer is I'm going to stop payment on the equipment and we'll deliver it to you. So anyway, they thought about it and they said, all right, deliver the equipment. So we picked up all the equipment, sent it back to Prince George. I sent my crew down there from Dease Lake to clean up the equipment, and we sold it, and that wrote off another about $2.2 million off the debt. So now we were down to about $4 million, and we sold a bunch of other equipment. So by the end of the month, we went from $13 million to about $3 million. And then we had to negotiate the contracts with Barrick Gold. So I phoned Barrick Gold and I told them the situation. I said, TNDC is really in a tough financial situation and we need your help. And they asked what they could do. And I said, well, pay us the same rate for the equipment, but just pay for our fuel. And they agreed. And right away, the equipment started to make money. But we were still in a real tough financial position, so I phoned back Barrick Gold in Salt Lake City and talked to Greg Lang, and I said, Greg, we're still in trouble. Is there any way you can give us a $750,000 loan? And his comment was, he says, Bill, what collateral do you have to support that kind of a loan? I said, well, Greg, the only collateral TNDC has is all that old equipment sitting at the mine site that you've underpaid us all these years. We could never afford to replace it, so that's all we have. Anyway, they agreed and gave us the loan. After that, everything in the company turned around, and contracts started making money, and the whole economy in the northwest corner of BC started to improve at the same time. So there was a whole number of things that happened at the same time to ensure the success of the company.
So my understanding is in this situation in BC that you're involved in now in Vancouver area, same as what happened before, that the lives of the whole band changed because of this these moves that you made. Can you speak very briefly to that, and then I'll ask you about some tips for everybody.
Okay, well, yeah, the Squamish Nation is a wealthy nation, so really, I mean, it didn't add a huge amount of money to their overall budget. What I'm doing there is there's a project, there's the wood fiber LNG just on the Squamish Nation, and the wood fiber asked if they hired me to work with the Squamish Nation to help them set up businesses so that the Squamish Nation could take advantage of the contracts that are coming up for this project. And so we're just in the process of doing it right now. We're going to set up basically the same type of business structure that we had with the Tahltan Nation Development Corporation. So we're going to try and set up about 20 different companies to take advantage of the contracts. The big advantage for the Squamish Nation is that with 20 different companies, there's 20 different types of jobs. So the members would have the option of training for different types of jobs. Plus the fact that the nation will share and get a profit share of all the contracts too. So there's a huge advantage to the nation to do this.
So then it sounds like what you're saying is the tip to everybody is pay attention when the door opens, no matter how scary it may look. Make a move. Do something, right? Yeah, because there'll be another door another time if that's from my own experience. You step through some doors and you say, wow. But then because of that door that seemed like a bad choice, something else came in my situation. I think that's what I'm hearing you saying, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, it's great because it's not always, it is no, I made all the right decisions. It's I made a decision, it led to another decision. It's the keep on moving forward and making the best decision you can at the time. That's what I heard at the breakfast anyway, and I think that's what you're saying in that tip, right?
No, that's for sure.
Yeah, okay, yeah. So thank you so much, Bill, for coming and sharing with us, and thank you for what you're doing to make a difference with the different bands that you're working with now in your not retirement. Working harder now than you ever worked before. But thank you that you still care, you're still involved, and you're still trying to make a difference in people's lives. So thank you very much for coming and sharing with us.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Yeah. Oh, they didn't hear you.
Oh, thanks, and you're welcome. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah. And thank you all for joining us, and keep tuned. There's lots of really great things coming, so thank you again.